Today we talked to Medea Benjamin, who is helping to occupy the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, D.C. to protect it from the crazed right-wingers who are trying to take over the Venezuelan government. It's amazing. Check it out. Leave your comments and please subscribe. Medea Benjamin is on the line with us. Medea, welcome back.
Hey. Hey, Tom. Nice to be on with you.
I understand you have Medea, of course, the co-founder of CodePink.org and numerous other groups, and the author of the most brilliant book on Saudi Arabia. What's the title again?
The Unjust.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Unjust. That book just blew my mind. You are so brilliant and such a great writer. But I understand you're holed up in the Venezuelan embassy. Do I have that right?
Yes. It's crazy, Tom. We were 2 days ago at the military attaché office. It's actually two buildings in Washington, D.C., and the opposition came and held a press conference and then proceeded to go inside and take over the buildings. They did the same thing at the New York consulate 2 days ago, and when the Venezuelan diplomat tried to go into the consulate, he was not allowed inside. And this is with police, U.S. police and Secret Service backing the opposition.
The opposition being this right-winger in Venezuela that Trump has recognized, even though he's saying he's the president of the country, even though he never ran for president. He's merely the Speaker of the House, essentially.
Absolutely, absolutely. Doesn't have one vote as president, whereas Maduro has 6 million. So the U.S., the Trump administration is facilitating the theft of these buildings. And the opposition put out that they were going to come to take the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, D.C. today. Mm-hmm. So some of us came in last night. We slept here. We called for other people to come as reinforcements. We're doing a rally here. And we're just appalled that the Trump administration can decide who's the president of another country, what property belongs to whom, and violate the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which says even if you don't have diplomatic relations, even if they're cut off, you still have to respect the property of that government. You cannot go inside. You cannot take anything from the building, and you certainly can't give it to somebody else.
Right.
So the U.S. is violating all international norms, and it's just appalling.
Medea, I'm beginning to think, I'm remembering back to 2010 when Barack Obama had, 2 years left to go, and was 22. Yeah, it was 2 years away from re-election. And Donald Trump tweeted out, "Expect Barack Obama to start a war in order to get himself reelected." And, clearly he thinks like this. George W. Bush, rather, in 1999 told his biographer, Mickey Herskowitz, that if he got elected, he was going to have a war, and because that's how you get reelected, essentially, that his daddy made a big mistake by only having a 3-day war. I'm increasingly concluding that Donald Trump is trying to create a war with Venezuela as part of his reelection process or campaign. Do you think that I'm off base on that? Is that too weird?
I don't think it's too weird. I think if things don't look well for Trump as the elections get closer, he would certainly do that. But it also seems like he has been preparing for a war. I just came back from Iran. So both in Venezuela and Iran, the economic sanctions are a kind of warfare, and they are certainly affecting millions of people, making their lives miserable. And the strategy is to have them rise up against the government. Right. In Venezuela, they're doing a much better job at that than in Iran. Things are a lot quieter in Iran. But yes, I think you're right that Trump is preparing for a war.
And this could be World War III if it takes place both in the Middle East and in South America.
Well, and imagine what it would do to the whole of Brazil and Colombia and the entire region. I mean, this is a civil war that's being created. Whether or not the U.S. is intervening in it, he's trying to get the military to start fighting among themselves. And we've seen already decades of war in Latin America with paramilitaries and death squads and all kinds of horrible things going on. And this is what's going to start another round of that.
Yeah. So just to recap, you are in the Venezuelan embassy right now, along with a bunch of other Americans, trying to protest or to try to physically prevent the right-wing quote opposition from Venezuela from taking over this building.
Yeah, we're trying to protect the embassy and keep it in the hands of the elected government.
Is the American?
If indeed,
I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
And if indeed they come in with police, we have to leave. At least there is a record that Venezuelans inside tried to protect their embassy, and they were supported by those of us who care about issues like international law. We're there to show our solidarity. We're
talking with Medea Benjamin of CodePink.org. Medea, is the American press covering this?
The American press did cover the fact that the opposition took over 3 buildings 2 days ago, but they didn't put it in terms of the Geneva Conventions, the Vienna Conventions and the violation of international law. They just simply reported on it and said that the Trump administration was happy to help them with this takeover.
Remarkable. And I'm assuming that you have information about this at CodePink.org for people who want to get more on what's going on?
Well, it's on my Facebook, and on the CodePink Facebook would be the easier place to. We did a live stream from inside the embassy. We'll do a live stream at the rally we're having, which is 5:30 East Coast time. And yes, so Facebook of CodePink or Medea Benjamin would be the best way